Hello and welcome back to Soft Spoken Story Time, Episode 57, SCP-020, Unseen Mold. SCP-020 growths in a civilian residence. Item number SCP-020, Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Samples of SCP-020 are stored in a series of sealed cultivation chambers inside a sealed containment room at Biological Research Area 12, which is accessible only via airlock. Nutrients are administered via automated robotic systems, as the cultivation chamber must remain sealed at all times. Hermetically sealed video surveillance cameras are installed within the containment room and must be checked daily for integrity. Any personnel entering the containment room must wear Biosafety Level 5 equipment, including rebreathers, and undergo full antifungal disinfection upon exiting. Description: SCP-020 is a fast-spreading fungal organism that is capable of affecting the senses and behavior of living creatures, including humans. Samples of SCP-020 exhibit an unknown effect that renders them effectively invisible to direct observation, even when under a microscope. SCP-020 is only visible to humans when viewed through photographic or video surveillance. Once SCP-020 forms a colony, usually within a human residence, it will produce spores that affect the behavior of humans around it. Affected subjects will increase the heat and humidity within their homes to create an environment more suitable to the growth of SCP-020. Affected subjects also become more sociable in many cases, and often invite acquaintances to their homes to further spread the organism. As the spores and mold colonies are invisible to affected subjects, the mold may sometimes grow directly on living subjects. As the spores and colonies within a home approach critical concentration, the health of affected human subjects will rapidly deteriorate, resulting in death. Further spread of the mold may occur as the bodies of any deceased subjects are encountered by emergency responders and healthcare agents, as well as transportation of the bodies to local morgues. SCP-020 was first encountered in Redacted, where an undercover SCP agent noted dramatic personality changes in personnel working at the local hospital. Upon investigation by a containment team, it was discovered that almost redacted civilians had been infected, as well as a majority of the town. The civilian population was terminated, and the town incinerated under cover of a local flash forest fire. To date, over 12 outbreaks of SCP-020 have been reported. Investigations are currently underway to determine the source of these outbreaks and possible preventative measures. Addendum 020-01 excerpts from the audio/video mission recorders of Mobile Task Force ETA-10, See No Evil, during the initial containment of SCP-020 on Redacted. T2 Lead. Team 2 moving to the Red House. T2 Comm. Copy. UAV-1 is picking up one heat signature. T2 Lead. Team 2 in place. Ready to... Expletive. T2-2. Door opening. At this point, a civilian woman appeared in the doorway, holding a kitchen knife. Video surveillance showed that nearly 2/3 of her face was covered by mold growths. Civilian woman. Well, hello there, gentlemen. Care to take a breather inside? T2 Lead. On the ground. Drop the weapon. Civilian woman. Don't be silly. Come on in and stay a while. T2 Lead. Stop where you are. Drop the weapon. Civilian woman. We just want to have some guests. Please come in. T2-2. Drop the expletive weapon. It is assumed at this point the infected civilian noticed T2-4 carrying a primed incendiary weapon and lunged forward at the team members with the knife. Civilian woman. Data expunged. T2 Lead. Open fire! Open fire! Gunfire. Screaming. SCP-021 Skinworm. SCP-021 on subject D-124, now deceased. Item number SCP-021. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-021 is an obligate parasite of the human body. Containment, therefore, is no more difficult than containing an adult human. Most cells will suffice. Item is currently housed in Detention Cell 217A on Subject D-139. Only Class D personnel are eligible for hosting SCP-021. As long as a given subject survives as a host for SCP-021, he is exempt from normal monthly terminations of Class D personnel. Description: SCP-021 takes the form of a large and elaborate tattoo of a serpentine dragon in the Oriental style, covering approximately 0.8 square meters of skin. This tattoo is fully animate within the confines of its host skin and behaves largely as a normal animal would, albeit in only 2 dimensions. The tattoo's movement causes constant pain to its host, comparable and similar in character to simultaneous tattooing and tattoo removal on a large scale. The organism tends to spend most of its time on and near the torso. SCP-021 displays no intelligence beyond a basic pattern of feeding and locomotion, although actually measuring the intelligence of a 2-dimensional life form has proven impossible thus far. SCP-021 appears to feed exclusively on pigments in the host skin. This can include melanin, in which case the subject appears to be suffering from vitiligo. However, the organism shows a marked preference for other tattoos and will seek out and devour these before resorting to natural pigments. It should be noted that the feeding process itself, beyond the sensation of movement, is painless. Normal tattoo ink simply vanishes as it is eaten. The organism maintains a constant size and no excretions have been observed. The organism is capable of clearing over 0.6 square meters of skin per hour. One may feed SCP-021 by quickly tattooing fruits or small animals on the host. SCP-021 can be transferred between hosts by various forms of physical contact with differing rates of success. In the case of successful transfer, the organism simply swims from one person to the other. Sexual intercourse appears to be the most reliable method of transfer, with a 93% rate of transmission. However, due to the severe pain involved, this is less than ideal. Contact between two open wounds is generally preferable. Transfer is more complicated in deceased subjects, though not unreasonably so. The organism suffers no ill effects from the death of its host and continues to consume pigments. Transmission between species is unknown. Previous tests suggest it to be either impossible or exceedingly rare. SCP-021 does confer some benefits to its host. The tattoo has been proven to accelerate the release and reuptake of epinephrine and decrease lactic acid buildup, providing boosts of strength, confidence, and pain tolerance in stressful situations, and reducing the usual after effects of weakness and fatigue. In addition, the tattoo seems to have some beneficial effect on the host's immune system. Aggression profiles in hosts are generally higher than average, though whether this is a direct effect of the tattoo or simply a reaction to the constant pain remains to be seen. The symbiotic relationship is usually limited by how long the host can tolerate such pain in everyday life. This has culminated in suicide in a number of subjects. In rare cases, hosts have also fallen victim to fatal skin infections. SCP-021's origins and nature are a mystery. Tracing its transmission from host to host is hardly feasible within the confines of secrecy, and the organism could well be hundreds of years old, if not more. Nevertheless, SCP-021's captivity is one of the longest in the Foundation's history, at nearly, data expunged, years, and has been very educational thus far. Current research focuses mainly on observing the characteristics of life in 2 dimensions. SCP-022. Item number SCP-022. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. A vault door has been installed following Incident 022-827 to seal SCP-022. It is to remain locked at all times, with the sole exception being the appearance of an instance of SCP-022-1. The original door to SCP-022 was destroyed during Incident 022-827, with attempts at replacement being met with failure. Security cameras have been installed to monitor for instances of SCP-022-1. In the event that an instance of SCP-022-1 appears, automated systems should incinerate it the moment it leaves SCP-022. At this point, the vault door may be unlocked to admit cleanup crews. Should the automated systems fail to destroy the instance of SCP-022-1, response teams are cleared to enter and neutralize it. Under no circumstances may any living human enter SCP-022 except at the order of Class 4 personnel for testing purposes. Class 4 personnel may also order instances of SCP-022-1 to be captured and held. However, they may not be removed from SCP-022 containment facilities. Description: SCP-022 is a morgue in the basement of Redacted Hospital in Great Britain. Until 1980 Redacted, there were no reported anomalous occurrences within the morgue. Reports of strange activity were first received in November of 1980 Redacted. The area was soon quarantined by the Foundation, with an official story being released that the entire building had been condemned. The reason for the sudden manifestation of its strange properties remains under investigation. Periodically, a random drawer within the morgue will open to reveal a cadaver under a covered sheet. After approximately 6 minutes open, the cadaver will animate and attempt to leave the morgue. At this point, the cadaver is given the designation SCP-022-1. In some cases, the cadaver will be too damaged or decomposed to successfully exit SCP-022 or even rise from the table it lies on. In this case, SCP-022-1 will typically struggle and twitch on the table until expiration occurs. Should an instance of SCP-022-1 expire while remaining on the table slides back into the drawer, which then shuts. Reports indicate that the scent of burnt tissue is evident immediately following such an event. The energy source that sustains instances of SCP-022-1 is currently unknown. Instances do not breathe, eat, or sleep, and their bodies produce no heat. Analysis of SCP-022-1 following expiration has discovered no abnormal organs or chemicals present. They appear to be fully human cadavers. Instances also possess physical strength that exceeds that of normal humans. Though direct testing has proven problematic, researchers estimate the strength increase to be approximately 500 newtons, 112 pounds, of lifting force greater than what one would expect of a human body sharing a similar condition. Analysis is underway to determine if this effect is connected to the unknown power source or if it is an entirely separate phenomenon. When body parts are severed from SCP-022-1, the portion with the greatest mass retains its effects. all other pieces become inert. Destruction of the head or brain does not neutralize SCP-022-1. Instead, the lower torso and limbs remain animate. Complete tissue destruction appears to be the only method of successfully terminating instances of SCP-022-1. Left alone, SCP-022-1 will simply expire. All motion ceases, and they appear to become normal cadavers again. The amount of time this takes depends on how damaged the body is and the rate of decomposition, and can take anywhere between 2 days and 3 weeks. Investigation has revealed that the bodies acting as SCP-022-1 match the description of cadavers reported to have been stolen from morgues across the country. The mechanism for this transfer is currently being researched. Adding any new matter to SCP-022 has thus far proved impossible. Any object that enters SCP-022 disappears shortly after passing through the door, leaving no trace. This includes inanimate objects and biological specimens. See Addendum 022-001 and 022-002. So long as an instance of SCP-022-1 possesses a functioning mouth, tongue, and trachea, it is able to communicate fully with researchers. See Interview Log 022-751 for details. Addendum 022-001. A request has been submitted to create a new entrance to SCP-022 by removing a portion of the south wall. Request pending approval. Addendum 022-002. A pile of matter was discovered on the floor of the room directly above SCP-022. It appeared to contain all matter that had been sent into SCP-022, with the exception of humans. All materials appeared broken and worn down. Metallic components were covered in large amounts of rust, with all biological parts being in various stages of decomposition. Testing revealed that the time between inserting an object into SCP-022 and it reappearing above to be precisely 183 seconds. Humans who enter, however, do not appear in said pile. Instead, humans appear to become integrated into the morgue and may later animate as instances of SCP-022-1. Interview Log 022-751. Each of the following interviews began in much the same way. For the instance of SCP-022-1 will typically be hysterical until Foundation personnel are able to calm/restrain them. These portions have been omitted. Date: March redacted, 1980 redacted. Interviewee: SCP-022-1-2. Interviewer: Dr. redacted. Notes: SCP-022-1-2 was the second instance of SCP-022-1 that the Foundation discovered, the first having been destroyed on site by Foundation agents. SCP-022-1-2 had the body of an Asian male, approximately 54 years old. Its chest had been stitched up, evidence of an autopsy. Begin log. Dr. Redacted. Please identify yourself. SCP-022-1-2. My name is John. Redacted. What the hell is going on? Dr. Redacted. That's what we're trying to figure out, John. How did you get to this state? SCP-022-1-2. I don't know. I was driving my car, coming home from... Never mind. I was driving, and I crashed. Then what happened? Nothing. I woke up here. Please, this has to be unintelligible. So, you remember being in a car accident, then woke up here in the morgue. Do you have any idea how you got here? I didn't get here. Don't you get it? This isn't me. I'm not me. What do you mean you aren't you? At this point, SCP-022-1-2 became severely agitated and had to be physically restrained. This required 6 agents due to the strength increase associated with instances of SCP-022-1. Eventually, SCP-022-1-2 was calmed and the interview proceeded. Dr. Redacted. Now, would you please explain what you meant? SCP-022-1-2. This is not me. I saw my reflection in the steel. I'm not some old Asian man. This isn't me. End log. Following the last statement, SCP-022-1-2 began to smash its head against the wall. Once further restrained, it began to scream unintelligibly for several hours before falling silent. It continued to struggle, though apparently unable to speak, for an additional 6 days until it finally ceased motion. During this time, it continued decomposing at a natural rate. An examination of the body following this interview was unable to determine a cause of death, as many of the internal organs had been removed. The only injury that did not appear to be a result of a previous surgery/autopsy was a damaged trachea. Date: March redacted, 1980 redacted. Interviewee: SCP-022-1-5. Interviewer: Dr. Redacted. Note: SCP-022-1-5 animated shortly after D5619 was sent into SCP-022 and subsequently disappeared. SCP-022-1-5 had the body of an approximately 12-year-old female, missing its right arm and a large portion of its torso. Following the incident with SCP-022-1-3, all instances of SCP-022-1 are physically restrained before being introduced to valuable personnel, with SCP-022-1-5 being no exception. Begin log. Dr. Redacted. Please state your name. SCP-022-1-5. What did you bastards do to me? Dr. Redacted. Please state your name. SCP-022-1-5. What the heck did you do to me? Dr. Redacted. We have done nothing to you. Now please state your name. SCP-022-1-5. You know who I am? Dr. Redacted. Refresh my memory then, please. SCP-022-1-5. I'm the guinea pig you just messed up. Don't tell me you forgot, Dr. Asshole. Dr. Redacted. Are you D5619? SCP-022-1-5. In the flesh. And for your information, jackass, my name is Redacted. Now change me back. Change me effing back. End log. At this point, Dr. Redacted asked SCP-022-1-5 several questions to verify its identity. Though its identity was confirmed to be that of D5619, no further useful information was gained from SCP-022-1-5. It was kept in a holding cell until expiring 2 days later. After 3 weeks, the body of D5619, animated as SCP-022-1-7. In a brief interview with SCP-022-1-7, it claimed to be an 89-year-old female. SCP-023 Black Shuck. Item number SCP-023. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-023 is to be contained in a standard 5x5 meter containment unit. Is crossed out. SCP-023 is to be contained in a walled-off intersection of 2 corridors at Site Redacted, with at least 3 meters of space in each direction, and false doors at 3 of the 4 ends in addition to the real door. Security cameras will be placed and maintained above all 4 doors. At all times, SCP-023's eye sockets are to be filled with spherical inserts made of hard rubber. Eye inserts must be replaced as they degrade. Degradation can be monitored by measuring the brightness of the burning effect as observed by security footage. Brightness greater than 12 candela requires that the inserts be replaced within 12 hours. Eye inserts are only to be replaced individually and only after the sun has completely set. Personnel are not to look directly into eye sockets of SCP-023 at any time. Following Incident 023-27, all reflective surfaces, including displays, monitors, and eyewear of any sort, are not permitted within 30 meters of SCP-023's cell. This includes monitors linked to security cameras within its enclosure. Security personnel posted at checkpoints outside both corridors will enforce and adhere to this measure. Experimentation involving SCP-023 has been suspended indefinitely. Description: SCP-023 is a large, sexless, shaggy canine, 1.5 meters at the shoulder, with black fur. It has bright orange-red eyes and prominent teeth, is crossed out. See Incident Report 023-26. Anytime an individual makes eye contact with SCP-023, either that person or a member of their immediate family will die exactly 1 year after eye contact is broken. Research into the method of selection is incomplete due to a moratorium on experiments, but the available data suggests that having a larger immediate family lessens the chance of the individual making eye contact themselves dying, and neither a pattern nor a preference in victim types have been found. This may indicate that SCP-023's victim is designated entirely at random, but it is unknown whether this selection occurs at the beginning or at the end of the 1-year time period. Attempts to terminate an individual who has made eye contact with SCP-023 and their entire immediate family before the 1-year time period has ended. Data expunged. Autopsies of individuals killed by SCP-023's effect show that while outwardly appearing unharmed, their remains have been filled in with highly compacted ash, including but not limited to all organ systems and the circulatory system. Muscle tissue, bones, and brain tissue universally show signs of exposure to temperatures above redacted degrees Celsius. If not contained in a setting that at least superficially resembles a crossroads, SCP-023 will phase through walls to get to the nearest suitable location, incinerating all materials it passes through. SCP-023 was first brought to the Foundation's attention when it attacked a church in Redacted while it was in session, killing redacted civilians directly and redacted as a result of eye contact. Following retrieval of SCP-023, Class B amnestics were administered to all witnesses and surviving victims. The incident was covered up as a case of arson. Addendum 023-001. SCP-023 broke containment on Redacted by passing through its cell wall. Incident 023-01. SCP-023 was later discovered at the intersection of 2 corridors elsewhere on Site Redacted. Agent Redacted noted SCP-023's similarity to a Redacted. Special Containment Procedures for SCP-023 updated. Assistant Researcher Redacted issued a reprimand for negligence. Addendum 023-002. SCP-023 has been responsible for the deaths of redacted personnel and redacted civilians since it was first brought into containment on 10/12 redacted 94. Addendum 023-003. Request for reclassification to Keter pending. Addendum 023-004. due to both anomalies focusing on specific geographic spaces, their destructive capabilities, and canine appearance. It is possible that SCP-1111-1 may be a variant of the same phenomenon observed in SCP-023, or vice versa. Investigation into the origin of both anomalies is ongoing. Due to the inability to capture SCP-1111-1 for study, investigations are currently focused on SCP-023. Incident Report 023-026. SCP involved. SCP-023. Personnel involved. Dr. Redacted. 5 D-Class personnel. Date redacted. Location, site redacted. Description: in an attempt to curtail the danger posed by SCP-023, Dr. Redacted has approved the removal of both 023's eyes and teeth. Immediately after both its eyes were removed, SCP-023 breached security by vanishing completely. SCP-023 was re-obtained on a stretch of interstate, redacted, at 4:37 p.m., and brought back into containment, where D-Class personnel finished pulling out its teeth. While the total number of civilians exposed to SCP-023 during this period is unknown, death record monitoring has tied 9 civilian deaths to this incident. Timestamps confirmed over the course of the next 48 hours that SCP-023 vanished only while the sun was visible in the sky and outside site redacted. Addendum 023-026-1. As of redacted, Dr. Redacted has been suspended pending disciplinary review for contributing to, if not being directly responsible for, Incident 023-026. Dr. Redacted is now in charge of SCP-023. The increased difficulties in containment that have been incurred as a result of Dr. Redacted should serve to remind all personnel of the Foundation's purpose: secure, contain, and protect. Research, experimentation, convenience, and even the safety of Foundation personnel are secondary concerns. We are not working to protect ourselves. 05 redacted. Addendum 023-026-2. A total of redacted bodies have a time of death exactly 1 year after Incident 023-26 have been identified as consistent with SCP-023 exposure. Incident 023-27. SCP involved. SCP-023. Personnel involved. Dr. Redacted. Data expunged. Date redacted. Location, site redacted. Description: timeline of events. "10 seconds. A pair of glass eyeballs are inserted into the eye sockets of SCP-023 by 2 D-Class personnel. 15 seconds. Glass eyes take on an orange-red glow, similar to what SCP-023's real eyes looked like before removal. 3 minutes 13 seconds. Molten glass begins to run out of SCP-023's eye sockets. 5 minutes 54 seconds. data expunged, appear on all lenses, windows, mirrors, monitors, and glass surfaces at site redacted. 6 minutes 12 seconds. Evacuation of site redacted ordered. 6 hours 54 minutes 7 seconds. Sun visible over horizon. D-Class personnel sent in to check area around SCP-023's enclosure. Data expunged, gone. Only trace of SCP-023 is a burnt section of floor around a puddle of colored glass. Personal log of Dr. Redacted. Date redacted. It's my fault. I've doomed my research team, and possibly the rest of the facility. All that's left is to keep trying. We must contain SCP-023. Note: on redacted, 1 year after Incident 023-27, redacted personnel were interred in an unmarked mass grave outside Site Redacted. Mother's Love. The passions of the dead can be vast and mighty, but we are not all-powerful. There are things I can never see. There are things I can never touch. There are things I can never overpower. Because of that, there are many things I can never protect my children who birthed me from. Because of that, oftentimes they die in bitterness and pain. Because of that, their deaths can also birth hates, large and small. Hates are things I can see and touch. I must see and touch them, because my children who birthed me cannot. I must protect my children who birthed me, where I can, just as my strange brethren are driven to curse them. I do not have the power to unmake hates. The best I can do is bind them to a seal made from things that my children who birthed me can see and touch. The truth of our nature is all we have and are, and denial of that truth is denial of our power. But more importantly, my children who birthed me can guard themselves against what they can see and touch. The form of a ladybird beetle or butterfly is a fine seal for small hates. In a seal of that size, it is easy for me to reduce the power of their curse to almost nothing. The larger seals needed to hold larger hates are more difficult. A hate sealed as a cat can still cause sickness and misfortune. Then there are vast hates, birthed from wars and plagues that killed together many of my children who birthed me. There are few loves vast enough to deny the truth of their nature, but I have tried once. It was a hate birthed out of the smoldering rage in the hearts of so many who died, knowing that their bodies would be burned together in a pit of pestilence and anonymity. I rarely call upon the power of the light that brings life to create a seal, but there was little choice against a hate nurtured so strongly of death. The weakest part of any seal is always in the eyes, because they are the windows to the soul. My children who birthed me only believe in that as a concept, but concepts are far more real to my brethren, whether they are strange or not, and than what my children who birthed me would think of as concrete. To line up the windows is to make an open path between a soul and the most vile curse a sealed hate can still inflict. I used every method I knew to reinforce the seal's eyes, but even then I could not stop it from setting a curse of death in anyone it met gazes with. My blessing could only delay the curse's full effects for a single cycle around the light that brings life. My misguided children, why did you take its eyes?